I mean, we can start. We had not
Should we start? Shall we
Let's
start?
This is the best part. I mean, Utini.
Press the button.
I have pressed the button as soon as you said, can we start?
You sadist. Alright, okay, so everyone has seen the map. Okay, yeah, and now my mind goes completely blank on what we say. Welcome to GURPS Wars, a homebrew Star Wars GURPS thing. I'm Beth, I'm your GM, with Crash, Ellie, and Io, Zwolrock, Rotini, and Zisha. Zisha. Thank you. Brains? What are brains? I don't have them. Crash can always edit in a much better intro if he desires, because he can actually talk.
Hello and welcome to GURPS Wars, the game where Beth took,
Exactly.
on one hand, the Star Wars canon, in the other hand, GURPS, then mashed them together and said, now kiss.
Uh-huh. Pretty much.
Join us
Hey,
today
GURPS can do...
with the Ragtag Adventurers, Ragtag Band of Adventurers, known as Rocky, Z,
No.
and look out, he's got a plushie.
An explosive plushie. So, who would like to give a recap for what happened last time?
The box with meat in it had already been opened, but there was a charcuterie board. And we didn't tell anyone the box with meat in it had already been opened. We just let them figure it out that on their own later on while we're off.
We did tell the archaeologist.
We didn't tell anyone important.
Mm-hmm. Are you sure you should be saying the archaeologist isn't important?
We didn't tell anyone who was paying us. Therefore, we didn't tell anyone important.
Okay, I can work with that.
Yes.
Okay, you are here. I was. What am I doing? I'm trying to make the NPC untargeted. I did good. That worked. So, does Zisha want to say what happened last time? Aside from the fact that you have completely ruined the resale value by opening the package and taking out the toy.
I made improvements. It's upcycled.
Zwolrock is no longer mint condition.
Technically, Zwolrock was not mint in box when Zwolrock was mint in box.
Need a picture of Zwolrock's icon and the Barbie box and just sort of, you know.
I was sipping my tea.
Anyway. So, would Ellie like to say what happened last?
I think they have it pretty much.
All right. And then the lot of you decided to bug out for...
Right. And then we decided to go to a space station 2 days away so that we could
be 2 days away.
Be somewhere else 2 days away. Okay. The GM, since you were not being incredibly picky, and since you had already used up your serendipity to give Zwolrock a tarp, so that Zwolrock was not parading around in front of the cameras in all of Zwolrock's glory. Historically accurate clothing glory.
Yes.
That means the GM gets to pick where you went because you were not being particularly picky at the time, as I recall.
Oh, that reminds me. Towards the end, I did try to, as a gesture of goodwill towards Zwolrock, attempt to use my incredibly high IQ to make a nicer tarp. Instead, I made a smaller tarp out of an existing tarp. Because very high IQ
15...
does not mean good at everything. It means there's a chance you can succeed at anything.
I mean, not quite anything, but most anything. Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, so far as Rotini's concerned, good at anything worth doing.
Oh, well, yeah.
But we're talking about Rotini, who is overconfident and impulsive.
Yep.
And may or may not have sewed a tarp onto their sleeve.
As you sow, so shall you rip. You never heard that before?
No, and considering that I was taught how to quilt at a young age, probably best that I did not be told that, because I would have brought it up frequently. My grandmother would not have been happy.
Well, I mean, it's
Aaron, this is the 5th time you've sewed the same squares together in a different order. As you sew, don't you finish that sentence.
I'm so glad I've expanded your horizons.
I brought your father into this world and I can take you out of it. What? I don't think that's how it's supposed to work. Also, the actual saying, I really don't think that's how it's supposed to work either.
Details. Anyway, 2 days away on the fastest vector that you were on leads you to a station called Kratoa. I will write
Ukatoa?
Kratoa.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. It's basically an outpost that has a number of hyperlanes branching off it, several of which lead off into wild space. Periodically, people come through going, we are going to make a colony off in wild space where we won't have to pay taxes anymore to anybody or protection money. And sometimes
the sovereign citizen people. Oh, man.
Yeah, all the Sovcits. Yeah, pretty much. Well, the thing is that in the Star Wars universe, the Sovcits don't wander around going, I am a sovereign citizen, no laws apply to me. They get together, they buy a ship or 3 that hopefully won't break down too quickly, and they go off into wild space, which is not very tracked, and they figure they'll find a habitable planet and they'll make a colony. Some of them don't come back. Some of them do start trailing back, tails between their legs, or saying, everyone was eaten. They're all gone. They're all gone. The laughter. You know,
we tried to say no laws, and then we had to say no, not like that.
So those who desire no laws to apply often find that the natural ones still do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that happened in Blossom in the D&D campaign. Mostly because of 7-foot-tall Tabaxi Child and their children's theater troupe.
As I recall, the law in question involved heat transfer.
Casting Wall of Fire twice in one turn inside a building made of wood, surrounded by other buildings made of wood. Yes. Mistakes were made. Rotini would refer to them as learning opportunities, but that, on one hand, that learning opportunity has passed. We have learned from it. So probably not going to happen at the space station. On the other hand, good scientific experiments do require repetition. So we'll see what this group thinks.
The other thing that the station does is it does mining. It is in an extremely profitable mining belt, and as the image shows, it is stuck into an asteroid chunk. The asteroids within this system, there aren't any habitable planets in this system. It's mostly a lot of asteroids and a few very dubious microplanets, and you know how it goes. Small sun, very dense. It's a place where the hyperlanes pop out, and then there's branching ones. No one really wants to go there because the group that has the asteroids is basically laying claim, and they tend to have the firepower to back it up. And the Hutts have tried to stick their stubby little slug fingers into it, and they're probably in there a little bit, but they don't run it like, the cartels don't run this one, amazingly. Possibly because it's too far from Hutt space, probably because it's too far into wild space, being on the fringes. And they don't actually want to be exposed to what happens when some bunch of sovereign colonists run off and discover elder gods or something. They might.
They did a cost-benefit analysis.
There's always a threat.
Mm-hmm.
They decided leading this group to be someone else's problem was the best thing to do.
Yeah, they're too much trouble to take over. They can buy in a little bit, and so they have a certain amount of influence, but they don't run it. And trying to run it would probably get them a bunch of really cranky, if you want to be particular, really cranky retired pirates who probably still have a lot of working pirate ships. And also, this is the closest place where they can get starship fuel. So you get the idea.
No one wants to mess with retirates. They're old
Indeed.
and cranky
They might
and want to tell you about their Social Security payments.
This is their Social Security. It's been a while. There's actually probably a few generations of retirates by now, but they have a firm hold. So there's a picture. It's a very crude picture. It basically looks like the Star Trek Earth space dock, pretty much, with the sort of blobby head tapering down, and the pointy end is stuck into an asteroid.
If you squint, it's kind of like somebody took a toothpick with an olive on it and stuck it into a meatball.
Yeah, that would probably work if you squint enough and are that sort of person. I
still have the toothpick I took from the hors d'oeuvre tray.
Well, of course you do. It's a souvenir.
I haven't figured out how to weaponize it yet.
Basically,
you take the small pointy thing and you jam it into somebody's eye.
Okay, yes, you're right, Utini. However, that would require me to be a certain height or for them to be a certain height. However, if I can increase its acceleration with some particular means, not saying what, explosives, but not saying what, then I don't have to be there when it happens.
So you are not going to climb up the enemy?
Utini, my strength is 6.
Pity.
Utini, mental note, as I pull out a notebook and paper and write in it, climbing gear, automated ? It's written directly below extendable robotic high heel for Jawas.
Rotini needs Gadgeteer.
Rotini should save up for Gadgeteer. This is true.
Now I say it's below the high heels entry. There was another entry that was in between them that is crossed out several times, and it was tarp cape. We will not speak of the tarp cape.
Zisha appears to be rolling a large number of secret dice, and I'm slightly concerned.
Be fine.
The dice roller in Foundry. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's a special effect.
See, it's fun. Anyway, the part furthest from the asteroid, as Zisha is probably aware, I'm sure Zisha's been here at least once, is very expensive, has a docking ring, there's a few ships parked at it. It's very expensive. It's also very posh. It's kind of a destination point for vacationing crime lords. Anybody else who's stupidly rich and has a little bit of firepower to stay that way. There's a few more docking rings as you go down, and then there's the asteroid itself, which is where all the peons land, which has some tunnels that you can then go down and it's like the RV park. Where does Zisha desire to request a flight path to?
I'm torn. I think I'm going to go for less expensive over closer.
The least expensive is the RV park, which is on the surface of the asteroid.
Do we have to buy our own firewood? I don't like those places where you have to buy your own firewood. They usually don't let you bring in outside stuff.
If you brought your own firewood, that's fine. You mostly just park there, and there's a few hookups where you can get a refueling. Refueling is extra. If you want to
space suit that fits me.
Yeah. There's the RV park where there are in fact you can jockey yourself into position and get a tube so that you don't have to spacesuit. There's also the RV park further out where you get to walk, and you'll need a spacesuit for that. I mean, there's a whole asteroid you can walk around just as long as you're not trying to mine anything.
All things considered, I'd prefer to avoid the use of spacesuits.
Rotini would also prefer to not have to use a spacesuit. Spacesuits are incredibly flimsy and rarely hold up to high explosives.
Also, it makes it a bit harder to get the high explosives out of the spacesuit and aimed at someone else.
Oh no, it's fine. Just open up the spacesuit and oh.
Precisely.
New item on the list: modular spacesuit - pockets ?
We are being fairly loosey-goosey with the finances at the moment, you definitely have enough to pay for the RV park, the high end of the RV park, or medium end anyway. But it will, of course, take a piloting roll to get there without doing something terrible. Would Zisha care to make a piloting roll? Rotini, why are you rolling a 78 again? Oh, 20d6. No.
Yeah, I just wanted to play with the dice. It's fine.
Okay. Zisha, will you pilot for me? There you are. Oh, pretty. Nice. Success by 9. You slide in to your assigned docking place in such a way that, honestly, the little spot where the extendable docking tube comes out of the ground to mesh with your airlock, it barely has to move. It just sort of goes pip, because you are perfect there. Now we know why they don't have pockets. Okay, yes. Yes, that's why Star Trek does not have pockets. Everyone brings home dangerous things. Okay.
Utini, no. The pockets are for me to take dangerous things outside of the ship, not to bring them back. You want me to have pockets.
Oh, you have a dock. You've docked. You've probably got the fueling things hooked up just perfectly. I assume you want to add a little bit of fuel. You don't have to. It's only 2 days worth if you go straight back to Nar Shaddaa.
I didn't fuel up at Nar Shaddaa.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Time to fuel up. Okay.
Fill the tanks.
Uh-huh. It is the prices are a combination of, we actually have a fair amount of fuel here. We process it, and therefore it's cheap because no transport. We are your last gas station for who knows how many miles. We can gouge you. Do you wish to make a streetwise roll to try to get a better deal, TM?
Sure.
Okay. Yes, you are now saving a fair amount more funds, at least incrementally, because per gallon, you know how it goes. Air's, you refresh the air, blah blah blah. So you have a Jawa, a Twi'lek, and a Tsis. You have
walk into a bar.
What
if
is
you
your
wish?
Tell me your plans. Yes, you could in fact walk into a bar. There is a bar thing here.
I appreciated that the thing on Foundry just changed to Cyberpunk Diner.
I provide a valuable service.
I do not necessarily require you to walk into a bar at first unless you just feel like walking into a bar. It's a big station. There's a lot of bars. There's various stores for gear. As you go up there, up the thing, there's clothing stores, various kinds of clothing stores. They can get pretty high end because, as said, the top part is extremely fancy, has gigantic windows of transparent steel to gaze out at the skyscape, well, the stars. It gets fancy up there. Down low, it's mostly droids. And all of the people who came back from their attempt to make a colony and are now kind of stuck there because their ship limped back and they don't actually have enough money to fix it. There are people who are probably hiding out and they would like to hide out more, but their ship had some damage. That's why they're hiding out. There's a lot of human people doing a bit of mining as well, that kind of thing. Horizon Shopping Mall. Yeah, that's probably... Yeah, that's about right, too.
Just look at this place.
I don't have any tokens with vision in this scene.
Oh.
Neither do I.
All I see is black.
Yeah.
So I assumed that the scene was black.
No, it's a shopping mall.
Stand by. The GM, who's not actually a GM,
we are having technical difficulties.
Standing
we
by.
are difficulties, and the power appears to have gone out.
Obviously, you're in one of the lower left layers.
There we go.
People can see now?
Well, I can see now. on my
Yes.
account that isn't a GM. That was also true for the Cyberpunk Danger, by the way,
That you could see?
that no one could see.
Oh, boo.
Yeah.
We can always show them that one again if you want. So I am going, since you are now basically in the giant mall of, it's equivalent to about a 50-story mall, and there's even more stories of. There's probably a small amuement park in here. There's also all the mining,
and come back with an orange Julius.
Yeah, that's about right. Where are you people going? What are you people doing? I am going to throw this at the PCs now.
I am going to find somewhere to sit and look through the feed for basically help wanted.
Okay. Technically, you could do that on the ship. On the other hand, do you really want to let Rotini and Zolrock onto the station all by themselves?
Look, if you haven't
So I've
fitted me
been
with
on
a
the ship
harness, you don't have a choice.
Also, you're sick of being on the ship for all,
Yeah.
days on end.
I've been on the ship for all but like 2 of the last 200 hours. Just being able to stretch my legs.
And not have a firefight, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
There are many cafes that are basically set up for, cantinas that are set up for the very concept of spacers who come and flip through the jobs. And there are different tiers of expensive for doing that. You can do that very high up in the station, where it's extremely posh and attractive members of many different species come to serve you your little tiny drinks and perhaps hors d'oeuvres here and there while you look at the giant holoscreen and recline on something plush. And you get down very far and it's basically a table and a cracked screen, and you have to fetch your own beer from the bar. And everything in between, of course. Oh, there's lots of arcades, Rotini.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt, so I typed it out, but Rotini is going to the nearest arcade and attempting to use one of those claw machines. I know they're all rigged, but that makes it more rewarding when you beat it anyway.
Is that a dex roll or an IQ roll?
What was Zisha saying?
I was going to say that I'm not going to go to the lowest end bars, but not by much.
You serve yourself, but the screens aren't cracked. They're just a little grimy.
The glass is dirty, but it's your own fault.
No, I would rather go to a place with servers.
Okay, so up to where someone, probably a droid, is going to come by. Actually, it's probably not a droid at certain levels. It's probably a sapien, because sapiens need work. There is kind of a, thriving is not the right word, underclass of people who got washed up here at this level and would really like to not be here anymore, but till then they got to keep body and soul together.
Mm-hmm.
However, because of the standard that you have stated, you walk into a place where you will be able to find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I walked past it to get here.
Mm-hmm. Most of the people who are doing the wait staff look a bit either elderly or very young or otherwise cannot do heavy labor. But you can certainly get them to get you a drink, and they are very hopeful that the nice spacer will perhaps tip well. So, you get good service.
The nice spacer will tip.
So I did a search for Cantina, and I want to say this is a Star Wars online game, but is it? What am I looking at?
You're the one who knows if they can do that dance. Where are
That
the
looks like
wings?
Star Wars Galaxy.
Isn't
Where's
that
the
the
little
game where you
wings?
could heal yourself by dancing?
Probably. I think maybe you could heal other people by dancing too.
All I know is it involved dancing Wookiees. That was a thing.
The little angel wings are making me make a whole bunch of question marks. That's hypnotic crash. Don't make me look at that anymore. I'm not looking at that. I'm covering it over. I'm going to cover it over with a different window.
I'm deleting it.
No more
No
more hypnotic GIF.
So what was I being asked
before? That would be a magician hippo.
Rotini. Oh, right.
Asking me something.
I'm not sure. Rotini
we
needs
were
to give
asking
me a
you
dex
if you
roll.
recognize that game because
yes,
it showed up under a Cantina search, so my assumption it was a Star Wars game. But in any case, I'm attempting to use a claw machine, and the question is if it's a dex roll or an intelligence roll.
Giving a dex roll because I'm sure you already have the intelligence to know it's rigged, and you're probably going to lose money. You're losing money.
Oh, I'm losing money. That was a 16.
And your dex is, as I recall, 10. What's your dex? 10?
Dex is 12. Even if it was intelligence, it wouldn't require the -4. That's too high a roll for me to beat a straight up intelligence roll.
Well, you're losing your spare change, Rotini. Okay. Zolrock.
The claw doesn't even open. It just goes down into the mass and comes back up again.
Well, it probably goes down. It just doesn't get anything. I mean, they stay. Yeah. Zolrock, what are you up to? Great, you've all split the party on me, you pills.
You gave us some ball, and no one attached a harness to me.
This place is fascinating. And I need new clothing.
Have you been given money for this?
I have no idea. Also, I think that if this Wolrock wanted to walk into a bar and not go explore fascinating new things, they might have to make a self-control roll.
Zolrock has xenophilia, if I recall correctly.
Yes. And okay, technically that is mostly supposed to apply, like, socially, but also I think it should apply more generally as well.
I mean, everything here is new. There are so many aliens wandering around here in various states of being solvent or less solvent. And I mean, how many aliens have you ever seen before besides, well, all the ones on Narshada? And you were fighting 3 of those.
A few.
Right.
I've certainly seen humans.
Mm-hmm.
They are very common aliens.
And now you've seen a Twi'lek. And you've seen a Jawa.
No one has ever
seen a
really
Allen.
seen a Jawa.
Okay, true.
And I've seen a few other aliens of various species before.
Probably seen a Zabrak or 2.
Probably.
There's a lot of aliens here. Some of them are familiar. A lot of them aren't.
Fascinating. I am going to go and find clothing and also make friends.
Boy, presumably with a credit card.
Hopefully. If no one has given me money, I will have to mind trick someone into giving me clothing.
Considering we just got paid and Rocky helped us guard the U-Haul, I think we probably would have provided Zulrock with his cut or their cut.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. So, congratulations, you have credits and no information about how much a credit is worth.
Correct.
Meanwhile, a somewhat dejected Rotini is going to look for the bar that Zisha has gone to meet up, possibly muttering Utini under his breath, which translates into something, machines are rigged, very poor design, I'll show you how to make a claw machine that picks things up, with only a 75% chance that it'll explode.
Worst comes to worst, you can calm Zisha and ask where she is. Okay.
I will do that if I have to, but I want to look without calling and saying, "Where are you? I wandered away on my own and now I can't find you." I don't want to admit that that's what happened. Because I would admit that's what happened. I'm truthful. So I do want to actually look. I'm assuming that's an intelligence roll?
Yeah, give me an intelligence roll.
That's an 8.
You vaguely recall which level Zisha started looking around and heading off to find a cantina on, and you can go stick your head in and find her pretty quickly.
Oh, there is. It's the one that doesn't have the smashed out window with a Gamorrean sitting in their own vomit.
That
The one
was
next to
two
that.
levels down. No,
Okay.
that one was 2 levels down.
Okay.
Zisha, you're looking for jobs. What kind of jobs?
Steve.
Courier, passenger service. Basically, use your ship to take something somewhere.
There are 5 billion, well, okay, probably not billion, but sure feels that way, advertisements down in these advertisements are supported by advertisements that people actually pay for, category of people who want to go somewhere, anywhere. There's a whole bunch of advertisements for people who want to be Starship crew. You get the idea. There's advertisements for people who want to be like your own resident fan person, fan girl, fan guy, fan. Look, the species has like 12 sexes and they haven't bothered to name them themselves.
Fandango?
Yeah. Pretty much. I presume you want actually people who can pay.
Yeah.
That's a smaller number since most of the people can pay, well, how much. There are a lot of them who claim they can pay, but they don't actually say how much they can pay. You know, you have basically picked on that particular search the one that is absolutely most full of noise. There are a lot of people who really are tired of mining here.
Understand.
Higher up, you've got people who have paid to have their ad in the payment thing, and it's let me make a roll here. Okay, that's not bad. There are certainly a few things like, take my offspring who has gotten bored back to their home planet. Please collect runaway so-and-so who is at hotel such and such and return them home. Please collect runaway such and such who was last seen here and return them home. Everyone can see the diner now? Good.
I am pressing every button on this jukebox.
You are a menace.
I have not put any credits into it. I'm still pressing every button.
It's mostly ignoring you.
I'm scrolling through the list of songs like, no. Ooh, no. I remember when that came out on the radio. No. It's looped 3 times.
There's some Jawa music on it.
Definitely no. I don't want to be that guy.
Let's see. Zisha, what you're looking. All right, you found the general bit of people who would like to pay you to be elsewhere on a ship. You have that category. And while you're thinking of how to narrow down this glut of advertisements, Zolrock, if you don't mind me swapping Zolrock.
Yes.
Okay, you're on a level where there's actual service for getting food. Most of the stuff that you're seeing here, clothing-wise, is used. This is like Thrift Shop Central on this level. You know there are lifts. You came up them. There are lifts down. You came up them. It is up to you what you want to be doing at this time.
One moment. Let me attempt to have thoughts in my brain and also take a drink of water.
Okay. Do you want me to swap back to Zisha while you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Zisha.
I'm discarding the ones that are like, go find this person.
Okay.
Or we know this person is on the station, bring them home.
Mm-hmm. Not quite bounty hunter.
Well, A, I'm not a bounty hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And B, it's a little too easy for someone to abuse the good faith of someone who takes that job, a job like that, by getting them to bring back someone who wants to be gone.
Mm-hmm. There's also various ads to carry cargoes of negotiable legality, shall we say. Those are in there as well. You could discard them or not. All right, there's an assortment of people who claim they can pay, are not down in the section where they haven't paid for higher placement, and do not have a list of requirements for how posh your ship needs to be. There's also a whole bunch of them who are looking for ships to go off and make their fortune in wild space.
I don't think we're interested in that.
I mean, you're the captain. It's up to you.
What's this one here about time travel and safety not guaranteed? Never mind, that's a meme.
I think I'm going to look for a cargo that I can carry that will fit in ship.
Ah, okay.
Or if necessary, the smuggler's hold. And also some passengers who are going in the same direction.
Okay. Most of what is findable as cargo is either dubiously mined components that turn into recreational substances, aka spice. It doesn't appear to be a true spice mine, but it's stuff that gets laced with stuff, and not all species go for this particular blend, but the ones that do really do.
Until you mentioned it was spice, I assumed you were talking about my habit of turning things into explosives.
I mean, that is a recreational substance, and you could get more ingredients here.
That's what I'm saying! But everyone keeps trying to sell me recreational pharmaceuticals. That's not what I asked for.
There's a bunch...
If someone gets high off of my supply, it's because there was a velocity involved.
Okay, there's someone who wants to ship a large crate of crystals to Corellia. There's someone who wants to ship a whole bunch of ore that hasn't been purified or anything. I mean, as near as you can tell, it's gravel, but they think that if it gets shipped to a planet you've honestly never heard of, that they can actually make it valuable. You're really not sure about that, and also they're not offering a lot. But it does seem like it's probably not illegal, maybe. There's a ad that... Give me an IQ roll. Actually, give me a streetwise roll. It kind of jumps out at you as being incredibly naive. There's someone who needs to travel on a ship for research purposes, and they're offering payment in valuable ores and not so much in credits. And the phrasing of it is like, what researcher is... how did you get out here without being robbed blind? So, while you're contemplating that, I'm going to cut back to Zwolrock. Has Zwolrock decided what Zwolrock's itinerary?
Zwolrock has decided that they are going to go in search of clothes that are new and that are of colorful design and pattern.
You're going to buy plaid.
Is what is appropriate.
Some of the things you can see in the thrift shops look like they might be appropriately colorful, but they appear to be used, and they are not your size.
Not with that attitude.
No, not with that attitude.
This is not the attitude you
This is not the attitude you're looking for. Move along.
Yeah. If you want stuff that is newer and less shabby and colorful and sized to fit without alterations or perhaps stitching two things together, you will probably have to go up about 5 to 10 levels.
Then I shall begin to go up.
Okay. Oh, by the way, give me a perception roll.
One moment, I'm inputting all my skills, and I am almost done inputting skills.
Okay, when you get done with that, give me a perception roll. Zisha, Rotini, are you discussing what jobs you wish to take?
I'm letting Zisha handle this unless Zisha has a question for me specifically.
All right, I'll get back to that. I'm concerned by the roll.
By the
It makes your
13.
IQ. Yeah.
Well, you said give perception rolls, so I didn't know if you meant me specifically, so I
Oh.
rolled one anyway. And that actually beats my perception by 2.
There's some Jawas somewhere on this misbegotten lower levels who are, in fact, advertising that they would like to not be here anymore. Here is terrible. Their ship broke down.
Well, if they're Jawas, they wouldn't have to advertise it. They could just, procure their own ship or build one from scratch from parts that they
Possibly
procured.
that's how they got stranded here.
Well, then they weren't very good Jawas and should have learned from their experience.
Rotini has found the local Jawa population, at least insofar as the advertisements. Zisha?
Isha would like a written list so she doesn't have to hold it all in her head at the same
Okay, I will start.
but that's not. I am going to preferentially take people who pay in credits, and yeah, like I said, I'll basically just take cargo and passengers who are headed in the same direction. I'm basically
Okay,
doing the escape velocity.
escape velocity thing, remind me.
It's the escape velocity is the game where you
Ah,
go between planets, shuttling people and things around. Typically, you want to take jobs that are basically in the same direction, so that people don't get pissed off when you're late delivering something because you had to go.
See, there's probably a random table somewhere, but and you're not going to be going out into wild space. Okay, those are the ones that are standout ones. Crystals to Corellia, which I can't spell. The random ore dredgings to a core world area place you haven't heard of before. Spice, drugs, etc. to assorted places, including Nar Shaddaa, mostly hut places. That naive researcher who just wants to be on a ship, which, no location, just ship, and someone who claims to have credits and wants to go to Alderaan, and seems like they might actually have credits from their description.
I'm going to strongly suggest that we don't take on the researcher who just wants to be on a ship. Usually that means they want some type of isolation, but then we'd be within the blast radius of their supposed isolation. I do not know this from personal experience, but I know this from personal experience.
Is this why you're on the ship, Rotini?
This is why I build explosives while we're en route to somewhere else.
Swolrock, you're up a few levels. It looks a lot nicer here. Actually, you're up several levels, possibly even many levels. It looks a lot nicer here. Everyone is dressed much better. Yes, you've ascended. Everyone is dressed much better. The droids that you see are shinier. The storefronts are much less shabby, and occasionally there's someone who's reasonably well dressed and clean, sort of waving at people and calling out what's in the shop or offering little tiny samples of food and drink.
It is possible that this Wolrock has been delayed by several people who were attempting to procure customers and offer samples.
Quite a lot, and possibly one or two people who are offering various kinds of companionship, including, if you want someone to play strange board games with. This is apparently something that people, you can hire someone to play board games with you.
Fascinating. This Wolrock is not going to hire someone to play board games with them. Is possibly going to end up asking a few questions about the board games in question.
They know so many board games. They know
Monopoly?
ancient
Don't
board
play
games.
Monopoly.
No, they'd rather not play Monopoly. That the always win anyway. They know board games from Alderaan. They know the newest cutting-edge board games from Coruscant. They are well-versed in board games, even the ones that can only be played if you have telekinesis or at least a very small tractor beam. They know board games.
That is a way to get around the issue of requiring telekinesis.
It's an ancient game played by esoteric religious orders. You probably haven't heard of them.
One moment, I am going to roll something here. As Wolrock starts suggesting particular things it might be.
The game?
Yes,
Yes, that's one of them. You've heard of it.
I have played it.
So, you know about the rules then.
Yes.
I will give you a discount to discuss the rules because, after all, they are not well documented. They've had to be recovered from ancient recordings of people who used to play it and from archaeological discoveries.
I must go and run my errand, but I will return and perhaps we can discuss.
Do take my comm code.
Yes. Is there a card being offered?
There's a card being offered.
The Swolrock takes the card. It does not do anything with their comm, which they're still a little bit iffy on the use of, and tucks the card in. I assume they have a little belt pouch thingy, probably.
Yeah. I'm sure you had something to put, ritual items or such in. The games person nods in a dignified manner and goes off looking for someone else to play chess with for money or something. Okay, cutting back to Zisha, if you don't mind. Okay, cutting back to Zisha. Zisha wants to contact the researcher. The researcher is a female human who looks extremely blink. She answers the comm, her image pops up, and she just sort of blinks at it for a while and then goes, "Oh, hello."
Sorry, my eyes just did a thing.
Ooh.
Hi, I noticed your ad on the feed, and I'm just curious why you want to be on a ship. I'm not trying to make any judgment.
I need to be on a ship to find things at. I'm sorry. I haven't been sleeping well for a while. I need to be on the ship so that I can go to different locations and do some comparative cultural analysis.
Are you headed to specific locations?
No.
So you just want to be on a ship and go to various places for a while?
Yeah. And eventually I should come back here.
I think that can be arranged.
Hey, well, maybe I can get some better sleep there too. There's always noise here, So much noise.
Yeah.
Utini, have you turned the white noise generator?
Like these.
I talked over Ellie. What was that?
It was nothing.
Space stations are noisy, yes. There's so many people, and even when you go back to your little room, you can still hear them a lot of the time. Most of the time. There's so much talking. Great.
Well,
you want the payments? I can transfer some credits as soon as I see the ship. That's how it's done, right?
That's often how it's done.
And I've got the cargo stuff. It's down on the lower level. It's in storage there. The payment ore.
Okay.
The payment or what?
Or L.
Utini, which translates to not bad, but you need to work on the accent.
I mean, considering that what they said was something along the lines of hyperspanner rotational blue.
I mean, that is one of the Jawa bands that's featured in the jukebox.
That may be where they heard it. Who knows?
They play space ska.
Okay. It's like, great. When do I meet you and where?
Well, when can you leave?
Oh, anytime.
All right. I will get a couple more things organized, and then I will contact you again with place and time.
Excellent. We'll be waiting for your call, unless I'm asleep. And if I'm asleep, then just keep calling.
Okay.
I'm sure I'll wake up. Everything wakes me up these days. Okay.
And then
Rotini?
I'll contact the person who wants the ore hauled and the person who wants to go to Alderaan.
Okay, let me...
But we don't have to do that live.
All right. I certainly want to rotate back to Zwolrock if that's all right, unless Rotini has anything.
Oh no, I'm just hanging out with Zisha. And
Okay,
not
you're gonna hang
dismantling the jukebox. The temptation is there. Actually, I should probably roll for that.
You probably should. I mean, you're impulsive.
That's the only reason why I'm saying it. But that's an 8. I'm impulsive, but
You
not
can
that
resist. It's not your jukebox.
I'm
If
just
you-
saying, we just talked to someone who complained about how loud the station was. I can fix that in some small part.
True.
But I'm not going to.
Back to
because
Zwolrock.
He's not paying me to.
That's right. No one is paying you to fix that jukebox there. Furthermore, it doesn't seem to be broken, so you don't think you can fix it and then tell them that they should pay you for this. Zwolrock! Back to Zwolrock. I assume
Yes.
you have eventually found some place that sells clothing in, wow, that's a lot of colors. And those glitter, and those, when you change the angle that you're viewing them at, they're a different color, like that. It's red at this angle, and it's gold at this other angle. And that one's hologram. I mean, not hologram like an actual hologram, but it has patterns in silvery rainbow that kind of move on it. That one is a
Meepo went to the
hologram.
future and opened a clothing store.
Probably.
I see. There have been many extraordinarily fascinating advancements in textile technology.
That
I
one's
should
just-
investigate them.
Oh, wow. There are small lizard aliens who are perfectly happy to come up and go, wow, you're very tall. Can we get clothes for you?
I hope so.
What sort of clothes do you like?
This Wolrock sort of gestures at what they are wearing.
So the toga look.
I believe that is an accurate description.
We can do that. That's easy. What kinds of fabrics do you like?
I am perhaps more cold adapted than most of the people on the station. It is somewhat warm.
Oh, yes, it stays a little warm for reasons. For the cold-blooded people. Also because a lot of the rich people who like to walk around in almost nothing. See, here's a hologram outfit right here. You can slot in different kinds of colored lights that cover your body, more or less.
Fascinating. Are you
As a Jawa,
cold-blooded?
I hate all of this.
You hate all of it because it's too warm or too hot, or...
You should be fully covered, wearing gloves with only a void for a face. That's the way things are intended to be. But I'm interjecting, I'm not there. I'm going to go back to reading about what an Alina is. They look like a potato with legs and arms.
That's because it's a front. They're little reptile creatures, and yeah, it's probably an Alina, although I think it's an Alina with a tail, because come on, we need to have tails. Tails are cute. It looks like an Alina with a tail. The tail may or may not actually be a real tail, because they're all draped in different colors of fabrics, and perhaps they're actually just wearing swatch advertisements on their butts.
Why are they advertising watches?
Swatches. Swatch.
I remember the 80s and 90s. It's all I'm saying about Swatch watches.
Yes, but that was a swatch watch, not just a swatch. No, they have the timepieces around their ankles. If you want to buy a watch, or something, the local equivalent, you could in fact buy one, and they could probably sell it to you right off their ankle. And if they were weird dogs, those would obviously be swatch dogs.
But that is a different campaign.
Yes, it is.
Not with that attitude.
Okay. You're grabbing the weird random ore. Zisha's grabbing the weird random ore one. That image is certainly an image crash. Thank you. That sure is a group of Alina tourists.
It's from the link that Io posted.
I didn't scroll down that far, but that sounds about right, including the one with the Mando helmet. Okay, let's see. Ellie, you're going to contact the Alderaanian passenger at all, or random or only wants to be contacted by email? Alderaanian passenger has a comm at no later than station hour such and such, and no earlier than station hours thus and so.
Okay.
It being a station, it's impossible to tell whether this means they're a night owl, daylark, or something. Crash. This job opportunity could have been an email. You can send email to them about this, and I assume you send email about that to the ore person who just wants to send what, as near as you can tell, is trash. Or why are they? You're hauling gravel. You're going to be hauling gravel. You're sure of it.
You see gravel, I see shrapnel.
You're very good at turning one into the other. Actually, I'm not there and can't say that, but...
Also, I
You're not
couldn't have said it either.
Lutini.
I am not looking. I'm trying to not look over Zisha's shoulder, but I'm assuming that every now and then there is some question or attempt to involve me in it. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
You can't look over Zisha's shoulder. You have to look over her elbow.
You know what? Yes, that is exactly what I'm trying to not do, but also look at who's talking. So I'm definitely doing it while trying not to. I'm trying to keep my distance, but not trying to make it look like I'm keeping my. I'm looking over the elbow casually.
Hey, Zisha could have an icon. Casual glancing over the elbow with your glowing eyes in your void.
So every now and then there's just this yellowish orange glare on whatever data pad that Zisha's looking at.
I will assume that you will say yes, you'll do that for the price listed, etc.
Yes.
All right, and you're not doing the Corellia run.
No, I'm not doing the Corellia run because it's in the other direction.
Oh, okay. One moment here. Pardon me, I had to cough a moment. Okay, you've got those signed up, and now Zwolrock is not back yet, so you've basically filled your ship unless you want to stuff a few more people in it for some reason or other.
No, I'm good.
How much passenger space do we probably have on that thing?
Depends on if
The
we're
image
using the
says 4 to
smuggler
6.
compartments.
Yours says 4 to 6. And also, you've got the crew quarters, so you can always stick people in there if you need to. I take you like that ship design. That'll do.
It's fine, yeah.
Okay.
And I imagine there are conversion kits to turn at least one hold into quarters.
Basically, you sling a lot of hammocks around for light density passenger quarters, and you shove in a bunch of bunk beds for heavy passenger quarters. Save that. Oh, I already have one. Okay, good. I already have a picture of that ship there. Okay. Yeah, privacy curtains and bunk beds shoved up together is dense passenger quarters as a cargo hold, and you might have to take on some extra oxy tanks underneath and whatnot. But you're not looking for a whole bunch of passengers?
Yeah, no, just the 2.
Just the 2. Okay. Yep. In that case, you can certainly fill up. The one who wants to ship gravel that sure is a lot of gravel that they're shipping, and they sure are shipping it, and they sure will pay you to ship it, and it's not maybe the most profitable one, but you have, near as you can tell, there is not likely to be any reason why customs would do anything except gravel. And also, you're not actually going to any place that has a high panicky customs setup if you ship the gravel there first anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Eventually you're going to need to find a Zwolrock, I'm sure.
So didn't we have a previous conversation about how we're not supposed to take rocks in places because that ends in all kinds of accidents? And now we're going to ship gravel?
We're not supposed to take the cool rocks. The boring rocks are fine.
You haven't seen the gravel. It might be no, it's not. It's not going to be interesting. It's gravel, which probably means they'll have something hidden in the gravel. I'm not saying don't take the job. I want to see what they're hiding in the gravel.
Oh, right. Zwolrock. You made the perception roll.
Yes. By 4.
Yes, you've been distracted and you had an errand, but at the time you did mark that there was some kind of minor disturbance in the force way down in the lower parts of the station. And then you got on the lift and headed up, and it faded with distance. And then there were all these distractions.
There were many distractions.
And honestly, it was the kind of disturbance that you would really consider normal. Sort of a background layer to things.
Well, you were around us for a few days, so yes.
You're a different disturbance. More like a disturbance in the symphony. No, you're actually corporeal, so you can't be a disturbance in the symphony. That's another game anyway.
Rotini would try.
Rotini would try.
Yes, with
Rotini
this
wants
attitude.
Rotini wants to learn the Song of Thunder. That's a different...
Rotini is the Song of Thunder.
No, Rotini makes the Song of Thunder. If Rotini is the Song of Thunder, Rotini did not step away from the explosive fast enough.
In nominate plug. Anyway, I'm not sure Zwolrock is going to be coming back in a timely fashion, so I'm going to assume that you two will have to decide whether to call Zwolrock or go looking for them or whatever. I'm going to make the PCs interact for a while, unless you stubbornly decide not to.
I told you we needed to give Zwolrock a tracking device. By the way, I actually did not say this. I thought about it hard.
You thought about saying it?
Which I assumed was the same thing.
Was the comm you gave me not equipped with a tracking device?
No, it was equipped with an explosive. The explosive is what I was able to fit in after I took the tracking device out. In retrospect, this was not my best idea.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is get into the comm system of the station, and then you can track all of the comms that are hooked. That's slicing, not explosives.
Attention spaceport shoppers. It seems that a Sith has lost their escort. You can find them at the courtesy desk.
The escort of the Sith?
Depends on how quickly you get there.
I'll try Zwolrock on the comm.
Zwolrock, your comm is beeping.
I should probably press the button.
Wrong button! No. Someone had to say it.
Indeed. Especially with this place.
Especially with the canon that's already been established about this particular comm unit.
True. Presumably the button to press if you want it to blow up is one that is harder to press than the one that you pressed to turn it on.
Actually, you have to remove a panel to press the one that makes it go boom. I think that's
good.
what I remember talking about.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Anyway, it's ringing. You press the button.
Yes. Are we under attack again?
No, I'm just checking in.
Look, they have... Did you know that they had a sort of jacket that is different colors depending on what angle you look at it?
I think I've heard of them. I don't think I've ever actually seen one.
Is this a holocom?
I don't know.
Most of them tend to be. I don't know. Did you give a holocom to...
That's what I'm asking the GM.
Most holocoms
that is up to you people.
Most holocoms that I've seen in Star Wars lore are monochromatic pale blue. So I'm imagining Rocky showing us these fanciful, colorful clothing, but it's just like, and this one's blue, and this one is blue, and this one is blue. Were these all made by Picasso during a certain period of his life?
You can distinguish color a little bit.
This one is a slightly lighter blue. This one is a slightly reddish blue. If you change the angle, it is a slightly different reddish blue.
This Zwolrock may be dressed like a very strange tourist currently.
Ah, Technicolor.
They're spangles. Zwolrock discovered that some of the flashiest, most fascinating types of fabric were actually amazingly inexpensive.
For some strange reason, they were not in high demand.
They are, of course, their next. Forgetting the name of.
I didn't catch all of that.
Oh dear. Am I
cutting out a little just there?
Yeah. They are, of course, still wearing their neck jewelry thing that I forget the name of.
Torque.
Yeah, probably.
You
The
could
player
probably get a
loves
belt.
everything about this.
You could probably get a checkerboard rainbow sparkly effect. Probably the little lizard Alina people suggested in like a belt. If you do the whole thing, it kind of overpowers all the other fabrics that you've been looking at. So as a belt, that looks like just,
Miss Woolrock does not want a rainbow checkerboard thing.
oh, good. Yeah. Oh, so sad. Yes, there are various plaids, there are paisleys, there's tie-dye in the most amazing ways. There's these things that are apparently prints, and they have a little machine that will embroider patterns onto stuff. It's absolutely fascinating. Clothing technology is amazing these days.
Look, there were machine-made clothes in Toolrock's era, but
Mhm.
they generally were not this advanced.
And look at all these fabrics and
You say-
colors.
You say they're machine-made clothes. In the back, there's a droid working a traditional loom very quickly.
Not impossible. Not impossible. Anyway, sorry. Zorok gets to decide what Zorok has been buying.
Toolrock has possibly found, well, those sort of partly see-through pants things that sometimes you see on, like, dancers?
Gauzy stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Gauzy stuff is familiar.
Mm-hmm.
It's very breathable, and you've complained about the heat.
Exactly.
Again, the player behind Rotini is very amused by all of this. Rotini hates everything about these aesthetic choices.
At least it's not fishnet.
Indeed. Fishnet is undignified.
Although there's this holographic fishnet drape that they show you that's kind of fascinating. But did you remember that you might want a hooded cloak or something to be nondescript?
Maybe.
Do you want to make an IQ roll for that?
Yes.
You can, in fact, get them to do a nondescript cloak that it can cover up the magnificent clothing that you are otherwise acquiring.
Oh my gosh. So basically, like this nondescript, you fade into the background cloak, but when you open it up, it's an assault on the eyes that someone needs to make a roll to save against.
Look, ancient Sith aesthetics are kind of colorful and such in certain ways already.
No,
these are Jorok's aesthetics.
Rotini's starting to come around because
went to a tourist place.
You went to a tourist
to come around because this aesthetic fashion choice that you've created is the clothing equivalent of a concealed explosive. Philosophically,
ancient Sith. I'm cutting out again. Ancient Sith aesthetics plus the general universal aesthetic of tourists.
You need a very expensive camera to wear around your neck.
Jorok would have a very expensive camera somehow, possibly because they mind tricked someone, if they knew how to work it and where to acquire it.
I didn't say you needed to know how to work it, you just need to have it and point it at things.
Anyway, this is how they answer the comm.
Numerous patterns of toga-esque.
Even with the monochrome of the holocom, somehow this is showing through.
It's vibrant. The holocom is perhaps just sort of having lens flare issues.
There may or may not be a small whiff of smoke and maybe some sparks.
Lens flare.
That may or may not be Rotini's fault. We will not discuss it.
You have rather few credit chips than you started with, unfortunately. Alas, it's tragic.
It is not as if money does anyone any good just being money anyway.
The little lizard people think that you are a very wise patron. You're the best customer they have had all month. They love you.
I have found pictures of birds that match this aesthetic, but all of these animated GIFs are seizure-inducing, so I cannot share them.
See, we've been playing for a while, haven't we? We should take a break. We've been playing for like 2 hours. Good gracious.
We haven't played. The recording is at 1 hour 45 minutes. We can take a break.
It might be a good idea to take a break and decide if that should be a finishing break or if you want to talk to your other customers or rescue Zwolrock from the fashionistas. Anyway, we'll take a break.
Yeah, I'm going to hit the pulse back.
Go ahead and press the button, I guess.
I have pressed the button.
Well, we should probably wrap up and you can meet your Alderanian passenger at some point and do whatever scans you want to do on the fascinatingly boring gravel.
It's like sand, but bigger.
So, indeed. I'd like to thank people for listening and thank all the players, Crash and Ellie and EO. And does anyone want to plug anything?
I have heard, I have this on good authority, although you will want to check some sources just to verify, that EO's mom writes books.
Fascinating. And where would those be?
Well, the citation I've been given is elizabeth-mccoy.com.
Mm.
But also, if you still have a local library, you can probably find digital copies of the book there.
Uh-huh. Might have to ask the librarian. But they're helpful, you know that.
My local library has copies. Also, I think we might have a Patreon.
You might. And what would that be?
There is a non-zero probability that if you go to patreon.com/cogwheelgaming, you would be able to help us keep the lights on, along with other illustrious patrons, including Chris, Ellie, Eric, Shanshan, Walter, and patron emeritus Cindy. And patrons get to listen to these edited episodes as soon as I upload them, as opposed to having to wait for the weekly schedule to go through. And I've been getting positive comments on the GURPS ones. Apparently, some people are very happy about getting to hear me be a player and not a forever GM. I'm
getting glad to see, at least for that.
And getting to see other people be the GMs for our games, because that is also a delight. It certainly is a delight for me.
Oh, we've been getting comments?
Yes. Well, on Patreon. On Patreon, we've been getting comments. They're not frequent. We have a very small listener base. But those who do listen have occasionally commented. And thank you, Shanshan, in particular.
Ooh. Wave to Shanshan. Thank you for the comments.
And until next time, this is Beth saying,
I sure hope I can get some sleep on that ship. Everything's so noisy here. Good night, everyone.
Utini, does this mean that I have to turn my music down? Good night, everybody.